Hey everybody, this is Starr with H&S Designs Now. For this video, I want to show you how to make a simple 3-beaded wire ring. It is not adjustable. Of course, I'm going to show you how to make this one, and I made this one beforehand. Used a little different beads in there, which I don't know why my camera's not focusing very well right now, but I think they turned out really nice, and it's really simple. You don't have to be an expert wire worker to make them or anything like that. So if you would like to see how these are made, stay tuned. Alright, so for our tools and materials, we will be using a 20 gauge copper colored wire. Okay, you guys, I'm sure, are familiar with it. There's plenty of people on YouTube who strictly use copper wire for their work. For the beads, I will be using the beads that match the necklace and pendant that I made previously. The beads, of course, match right here. So this way it's a matching necklace, ring, and earrings for the special person who will be receiving this. And of course you will need your ring mandrel. You will need a nice set of flush cutters and a set of pliers. I like to use these small bent nose pliers, though you could use chain nose or just whatever type of pliers you have readily available to wrap the wire around the band. So I have already cut off, as you see right here, I cut off 23 inches, which ends up being about 58.5 centimeters or so of the 20 gauge copper wire. Okay, and I did run my nylon jaw pliers through it to get it fairly straight. So then you want to go ahead, thread on your beads. I like to use 2 different sizes of beads, and that's this way you have your larger bead in the center and then you have 2 smaller ones in the ends. I think it just looks better, though you can use the same size beads. Though if you use the same size beads, you might want to go for a smaller bead about this size instead of a larger one. But then you want to find the center of your wire, so you want to match up. Whoop, I'm off camera. You want to match up the ends of your wire and bring it down, and that's about the center of your wire. You're not almost never going to get it exactly to the center, but you're going to get it close. So now you want to go in, and for who I'm making this for, I know that they have a larger finger, so I'm going to make this one in a size 9. Okay, and I like this ring mandrel because it does have this little groove, which is like perfect for holding on to your beads. If I can get it to sit in it. Alright, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to make it in a size 9. You want to make sure that one of your wires crosses under and one crosses over. Okay? And then what you want to do is, got to hold it up like this. Okay, so now you want to bring your top wire or your bottom wire, whichever one you're starting with, around. You want to try to keep it as close to that 9 as you can, though you saw this piece of wire was getting up to the 8, but that's okay. So you see I have it crossing back like this on the back side here. So now I'm going to come in, I'm going to flip this around, and I'm going to turn this wire around twice, crossing that way. So this is the view from this side, and I will flip this, and this is the view from the front side of the ring. Okay, so you see how it goes. So now what you want to do is, you see the beads are, they're kind of staying, but they're not really staying. So you want to, again, you want to get the wires that is going to be your band to get as tight as possible. You want to take this piece of wire, or whichever one you want to start with, and you want to cross it around the outside, and then in between these two, and then cross back like that. So now I want to hold that, if I can, doing the same thing but the opposite with this wire. So I'm gonna push that one up, that bead up, and you want to try to keep your wire tight as possible. Okay, and then I'm going to come around one more time with both sides. You can just do this once if you so choose. Sorry, I keep hitting this. But I think it looks really nice wrapped twice. And that's just my personal choice. You do not have to do that. So there is the start of your ring. You can see how it's looking. And yeah, it's kind of covering that one up where it's not covering this one. So we can go ahead, and that's just because of how, you see how it did. It just didn't quite want to lay right. Well, we can go ahead and we can fix that right now by unwrapping some. Okay. And it's because you see how it was sitting on the mandrel, so you want to try to avoid that if at all possible. Okay. So now we're going to go in. Oh, and see, it's doing it again. All right. So it's a good thing. I'm glad that that happened while I was filming this, because that way you can see what happens and have an idea and how to fix it. Okay. Now I'm going to bring this one over one more time. And just like that. So that, this wire's not wanting to cooperate. Push that down a little bit. Alright, because I like the wires to sit in between. So that's looking much better. Whoop. That's looking much, much better than it did just a minute ago. So now we can take it off of our mandrel. And now you want to do the same thing with this tail, the tails, as you would any other simple beaded ring, and you want to wrap it around, okay? I suggest a minimum of 3 times, okay? You also do want to try to keep these wires in line with each other instead of letting them bend over and bend around and stuff. To me, it makes it look much, much better. Although that can sometimes be a bit difficult. So if you're still new at making rings and using wire and everything, just you will figure it out with time. I'm still figuring it out, and honestly, I've only been working with wire since February of 2018. It is currently August of 2018. So, you know, it just takes practice. That's all it is. It just takes practice. It does not take a lot. Now, you want to work with wire, I do suggest that you want to get a decent brand of wire, okay? You don't want to get the cheap stuff from Walmart, okay? And you may think, well, it's cheap. It's something to practice on. Why, yes, it is cheap. It is something to practice on, but it's not worth it. It's really not. It's a waste. It really, truly is. If you really and truly want to start working with wire, you don't have to shell out the big bucks to get, 10 karat gold or anything like that, okay? You don't necessarily have to do that. That stuff is expensive. Take your time. Learn, but get a decent brand. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So I like to take my pliers, I like to flatten the wire down if I can. And let's see, get that flat. And I'm also trying to keep these wires flat next to each other, just like that right there. And I'm trying to remember to stay on camera too. Okay. And I'm going to bring this around one last time. And this is why I like to use these little bitty bent nose pliers, because they're so small and they can get into some really tight spaces. They're awesome. So that's my 3 wraps. However, I'm going to bring it across a 4th time, and here in a minute when we get done with this side, we're going to cut this one. So bring these together, and I like to straighten this wire out, even though I'm just going to bend it again. Keep these straight as possible, and I like to flatten that out. Kind of keeps it where I want it to. Okay. And then back through again. Now, anybody who, if you have not seen how to make a simple beaded ring, you're probably sitting there like, well, why aren't you doing all this on your mandrel? Honestly, you can do this on your mandrel, but it's quite difficult because your mandrel will get in the way. Whereas I can move my finger. But yeah, those of you who have seen those, you know what I'm talking about. You probably tried it yourself, like, oh, I can do that on the mandrel. No, I can't. And honestly, if you don't have a ring mandrel, you can use just about anything that is round. I have honestly used a glue stick as a ring mandrel. I really, really have. It's a bit small, but I have used it. So you can use anything, chapstick, tube, anything. Seriously, you don't have to fork over the money just to get a ring mandrel. Although, I have to say, using items like that, you are not guaranteed of what size of a ring you are making. Okay. Now, I have to point out right here, you see this little piece of wire right here? It's sticking out. Okay. I was trying to avoid that, but it didn't happen. That is because these two are on there tighter around this part of the band than that one is. But I'm just going to leave it because I don't want this video to go too long. So when I cut these two tails, I want the end of this wire to come out right in about the middle of where the band is. So I'm going to cut it about right there, and you'll see it's going to stop on the top. And I like to try to keep these wires flush with each other. Nothing sharp poking up on that at all. Seriously. Like, you can see it if you look for it. You can see it, but it's not that bad. Excuse me. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Oops. Come in. I need to pull it up just a little bit more. And about right there. That one I got a little close to that end more than I wanted to, but I think it'll be okay. I'm actually going to try to get that a little bit tighter. So I could still feel that just a little bit, but it can go down onto the wire a good bit more. I don't know why it's not wanting to cooperate. Let's see. So I'm trying to get it to come out so I can get it tight. Let's see. I'm hoping I'm staying on camera because I'm more looking at the ring than I am my phone. And please be careful. Any type of wire that you use, I don't know if you can tell, it's kind of starting to come off just a little bit. So be mindful when you use pliers with your wire that it will flake off the coating. I hit my camera again, I'm sorry. Alright, so that's much better. That's much better. I want to get it flush, nice and tight. Keep my bands, my wire. So that one looks good. Let's fill this one. That one's awesome. So it still kind of turned out just a little crooked. But like I said, with practice, you will get it. Because you just have to remember, mind over wire. Not mind over matter. Mind over wire. So I made it in a size 9. I thought that I did. Let's see what it turned out. Okay. It turned out to be a little bit smaller than I expected, but that's because of how these are. So I can see, I'll probably go back and fix that and get that tighter and make it look nice, because that side does look good. But the more wraps that you do and the tighter that you get these is going to be the smaller. So anytime that you're going to want to make a ring, you're probably going to want to make it about a size larger, because you see I lost over half of a ring size. And I could probably force this if I wanted to. Yeah, I can force it, but it's awfully tight. And you don't want, especially if you're using glass beads, you don't want to take the chance of the wire crushing that bead and breaking it. But other than that, this turned out really good. Like I said, I'll go back and fix that. So I hope that you liked this tutorial. I hope that you will give it a thumbs up. And also, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. It's somewhere about right there if you're on the computer. So I appreciate you all. Thank you all so very much. Any questions, comments, any suggestions for anything, please leave those down in the comment section below. I would love to hear all of them. If you have tried making this ring, I would love to see how they turned out. Any kind of work that I have posted here on YouTube, if you have tried it, please share it with me. I'm on Facebook at H&S Designs Now, and would love for you to post your work and see what you've done, and as well as any work that I have made, with the exception of this matching set that I'm going to be giving to someone. I have tons of work that's up there for sale. So again, it's at facebook.com/H&S Designs Now. We would love to see you over there, and like the page as well while you're there, please. And you know what? I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and we'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye-bye.